Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I'm a psychic and a medium. I'm going to be talking politics today. I am a Democrat. God only knows how you found me, but if you found me, just know that. But also know that I am channeling. I channel my spirit guides, and I can already laugh because I can feel them tempering my fiery human energy right now. So I want to talk to you guys about the vote that happened yesterday. Now, I the guides predicted this a couple of weeks ago when I was on a live video with Kevin's Loving Vibrations. The guides said they're going to pass this, and I've maintained that until they passed it. I not always right, right? I'm not always right. I don't think anybody is always right, because if we were, well, we would probably take over the world, and I'd probably offer free donuts, and I mean, I would have my own version of my perfect world. Cheese would be free to everybody, right? And that's not the way this planet operates. So none of us are going to be right all the time, or else actually one of these bad actors would grab a psychic and chain them up in a basement and use them to rule the world, right? I'm not always going to be right. But unfortunately, I was right this time. And I want to tell you that it's okay. Now, the spirit guides want to say, and I'm agreeing with them. I am, if you're not new here, it's a dialogue. Like, I'm a spicy, and I'm like, I don't agree with my spirit guides, which is foolhardy, maybe you might say, because this is like an extended higher vibrational energy that probably knows a lot more than me. But I'm trapped in a, vibrationally contained meat suit, and I'm operating with the tools I have, which fits perfectly into what they want to say, which is why they had me say it, which is the Democrats, not the Democrats, the Schumer, let's just say Schumer, the senator, he used the tools he knows how to use. Now, this is what the spirit guide said to me like 10 seconds before I came on. There's an old saying that says, if you go to a surgeon, he's going or she's going to say, let's operate, because that's all they know how to do. A surgeon is not going to know how to tell you to get physical therapy. They don't know how to do that. That's not their thing. If you go to a plumber, they're going to say, we need to replace your plumbing. Right? I mean, they're not going to tell you that your ceiling needs to be repaired too because of the leak. They don't care about that. They need to do what their specialty is. And this is what Schumer did. Now, this is the spirit guides calming me down because, well, if you were on social media, and that's where I get a little bit super fiery sometimes, it is on Threads and Blue Sky. But also, I have a community with 1,100 people in it, and we have a political side and we have a spiritual side. And in the political side, it's pretty awesome because you can go on there and you can have, safety. You can say whatever you want. And I own the platform, so it's not Meta, it's not anything else. I'm not co-opting any of your information. It's all locked down. But I just think it's interesting, some of the conversations have been happening in the political side. And one of the people this morning asked me what I thought about the vote. And I said what I thought about the vote, which I'm getting ready to tell you. But what's interesting is just now somebody wrote back and said, I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate, but I live in Washington, D.C. area, and I can understand why Schumer did what he did, because the Washington, D.C. area has been decimated, right? Like, I mean, all these layoffs and everybody's so nervous, and right now the guides are showing me there's a joke about being so nervous as a cat with a long tail in a room of rocking chairs, right? That's how nervous everybody is. And this is why I want to say what I just said makes sense, because when you're inside the beltway, right? Don't they say inside the beltway, people are thinking this or doing that? Well, it's just like going to the surgeon. The surgeon's going to be like, the best thing that I can do for you is to operate. When you go inside the beltway, when you go into people like Schumer's a legislator. He wants to legislate his way out of things. He wants to work with the other side. He wants to use the governance, the levers of government to solve the problem. Now, people like me, Maybe you, who knows? We're like, government is broken, and you're taking a butter knife to a firefight war, and you're not going to win because it doesn't matter what you legislate. They don't pay attention, right? So we feel like it's so broken that you just have to like not participate. But yet others are saying we have to participate, right? Okay. So I think it's important for us all to recognize that there are going to be other ideas and schools of thought, and I just want us all to be cognizant of that, that I'm not always right. It's not always the right way, whatever. And that's why I also love the community, is because we can really talk on there and feel supported, right? It's the most grown up, mature group I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of. So here's what I want to tell you about the vote, though. Right. Again, my spirit guides go 90,000 feet in the air. They're always giving you the big picture because it's really important, I think, to understand the big picture. If you get caught up in the details and the minutia, you never saw the truck coming. You were looking at something that fell on the ground, and here's a big truck coming. I want to tell you the big picture. The big picture is this. I'm not thoroughly upset about this. First of all, the spirit guides warned me. I always say forewarned is forearmed, but also because if this was happening and nothing else was happening, I would be really upset. But Schumer doing what he did, and whoever voted with him doing what they did, is one part of this situation. The other part, which I'm extremely hopeful for, and my spirit guides are beyond hopeful, they're actually thrilled, ecstatic is the word they want to use, is Tim Walz. Tim Walz going out into these red communities. Of course, he's a white dude of a certain age from an agricultural state. So he's got cred with these people. He can go talk to them. We're not worried about him being, pew-pewed or anything, right? So he's sort of our secret weapon, the spirit guides are saying. And the other thing about Tim Walz, he tells it like it is. He's like, he literally said, are y'all like okay with your 401ks crashing? Because like last year, your 401k was like better than anything else in the world. Are y'all good with that? Like, I'm just trying to ask. You know what I mean? Like he does. He shows up right where people are. He puts them at ease. He makes them laugh. And then all of a sudden, they're able to hear the message because he's not preaching at them. He's angry on your behalf. I got a 401k. I'm mad too. That's what I love about Tim Walz. He's our secret weapon. Guess what? We got a lot of other secret weapons right now. We got Bernie Sanders out there doing the same thing, literally asking the audience, stand up and tell me what you're worried about. You're worried about paying your heating bill. You're worried about your health care. He's actually listening. He's asking people, what are you worried about? Do the MAGAs ever get asked anything? No. They're supposed to just give their complete fealty to their Lord, to their boss, to their cult leader. But now they got questions. They got real worries. Things are starting to happen to them or their kids or their neighbors or their families. And they're starting to see what the guides are saying is the facade is cracking. The fake reality is cracking. Or, Wizard of Oz. Oops, the curtain is down. And now we see this little man who's running all of this amazing kingdom. And it's just this little pipsqueak, right? So reality is setting in. And we're helping it set in. The Tim Walzes, the Bernies, the AOC. AOC is out there talking to young people, talking to working people, talking to Hispanic people, talking to anybody. But she has her group, she has her demographic, just like Bernie has his demographic, just like Tim Walz can go out and speak to certain demographics. Then we add Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett in Texas, right? Al Green in Texas. Did you think you would ever see this in 2018, 2019, or even 2021? No. But guess what? Those people have decided we're going to solve this problem a different way. We're going to go outside of the hollowed halls or the traditional concepts of what it means to be a legislator or what it means to be a governor. You have Tim Walz, who's the governor of a state, but he says, "Hey, I'll come to Louisiana. I'll come to Missouri. Where you want to you want to invite me? You get some coffee?" That's way outside of the rule book. And this is the difference. Schumer is playing by a rule book. And people like me would say that rule book, well, 45 ripped the pages out of it, got them mixed up with some secret documents, then flushed them down the toilet by accident. The rule book is MIA. It's, what rules? Well, the rules went out the window when the judge did not put him in jail when he was convicted, in my opinion. That's when basically people said the Constitution is going to be a multiple choice item. Pick your choice. Now, as I've always said, if you've watched me, I've always said this has been true for anybody who's not white. I've always said this. The Constitution has never been a balanced document or a balanced rule of law. There's always been multiple levels of laws. But now these multiple levels of laws are applying to white people. That white person got off, but you didn't. Jan 6 people got pardoned, but this person over here is doing 20 years. And they're all white. Maybe they're all white men. These things are not being lost on people. People are starting to connect the dots with the help of what my spirit guides are calling the cavalry. They're calling these Democrats that are out combing the United States the cavalry. Now, I will say that Schumer's got a book deal. He's out going to be in California signing books, just like Jeffries was out signing books. There's a difference, people. If your home is burning down, right, and your spouse is out at a pub or out doing something with some friends, and you trying to put the fire out in your house, that's grounds for divorce. I think my house is burning down and you're my partner and you're not here to help me save it. Therefore, we have irreconcilable differences and I'm going to have to part ways with you. So I get it. I get it that DC is upset. I get it that DC is trying to solve this problem the same way that they've been solving problems for 200 something years. But we are not in a place we've ever been in 200 something years. And so, the other thing the guides would say is that, when you have a local situation, like let's say in the Rust Belt with car manufacturers or just jobs disappearing. Well, those folks, that's something they're concerned about because that's where they live. And that's fine. You vote the way you need to vote because that's your values. The DC folks, they're going to vote the way they're going to vote. That's your values. But at some point, we have to see the whole country. And we have to understand this is an attack on the whole country. And it's nothing that we've done has worked. The guides are saying we have not successfully curtailed or stopped him from doing anything. Because when we do win a court case, there's 100 more court cases that are lodged. when we do have a win, it is a win. All these federal workers, you have to go back to work. You are reinstated, which the guides predicted would happen. And also I see all these people getting a lot of money because in the end result, there's going to be some settlements, some monetary settlements. Yeah, those are wins, but it's not enough to win the whole war. We're winning little battles. We really need to win the war. And here's how we're going to win the war. First of all, and I don't, right. Uh, right. So the guides said last year, the cure should not kill the patient. As a matter of fact, everything they said last year is coming true. And it's kind of freaking me out, like not in a good way, because I thought Kamala Harris was going to be president. I predicted it. That didn't happen. But all the things that I saw happening in 2025 are happening. So let's start with the cure should not kill the patient. Well, it shouldn't, right? If the cure kills the patient, then it wasn't a cure, right? So, but here's the thing, and here's why what they just said makes sense, because to win the war, we all have to suffer. It's not going to be a situation where just the people that perpetrated the crimes suffer. We're all going to suffer. Let's talk about the economy. I feel like the fastest way, well, never mind. They're correcting me. Okay, I'll double back. So the fastest way right now, they're saying, or how do I describe it? When I say fastest, I think what I'm trying to describe to you is the situation with the most energy, with the most urgency, that could change in a week because everybody has free will. But right now, the urgency is around the military. And I did predict months ago that that he would put troops on the Panama border. This was way before he decided to take over Canada and Greenland and whoever else he's talking about. This was way before that. I really saw Panama being a problem. But here's what I saw, and this is why I need you to hear this, because there's going to be visuals, there's going to be things that you see that are going to look really bad. And they're not going to be bad, but they're going to look bad. And part of that is terrorizing, is gaslighting. That's the point. The point is to just make you crazy, right? So I see troops, the words the guides are saying is amassing on the border of Panama. And but it's not successful, because what I said in this video a long time ago was it's almost like the whoever the officer is, who would be the highest ranking officer, says, oh, wait a minute, we didn't bring the ramps to get the tanks off of the boat. Weren't you supposed to bring the ramps? Who was supposed to bring the ramps? You know, but it's actually subterfuge. It's actually on purpose. It's sabotage. So it looks it's embarrassing to this branch of the military, but they're willing to be embarrassed. They're actually willing to have their rank busted, which is a lot, because that's your pension, right? Your pension, your retirement depends on the rank. And if you lose rank, you lose money. So this is a big deal. Never mind the fact, honestly, the guides are saying that with this regime that we have in office, this person, if it was ever discovered to be a real subterfuge type situation, they might actually be court-martialed and or God only knows what, right? So this is an act of patriotism, is what they're trying to tell you. And they're trying to tell you that even though it looks bad, and I feel like it's going to look bad, and I feel like it's going to freak our allies out. If you think they're freaked out right now, this is not freaked out. Just going to be worse. So forewarned is forearmed. Okay. I tell you this so when it happens, you can go, okay, Susan said this was going to happen. And Susan said it wasn't going to be a war. I'm not always right, but I'm right enough, right? I'm seriously right enough. And if it corrects, if it's corrected, I'll come back on here and say things have changed, because again, everybody has free will. I mean, but to me, the energy when it gets to be this big, it's usually pretty settled, usually. So that might happen. Okay. So the military is an important part of the war because he's telling everyone that he's going to do this, that he's really going to take over Canada. He's really going to take over Greenland. He's really going to take over Panama. And I think right now, Americans and probably a whole lot of Democrats just think he's crazy talk. I think people don't give him enough credit. I'm not saying his mind isn't mush, but I'm saying that his mushy mind is the only part that works is vindictive. The only part that works is evil and angry and mean. Think about an Alzheimer's patient. Have you ever met one that was super angry and super mean? It doesn't matter that they're not thinking clearly. Everything they do is paranoid or vindictive or violent or angry. Just because his mind is mush doesn't mean he's sitting in the corner. He's not doing that, y'all. We're not there yet. He's still in action mode, even if it's crazy action mode. Okay. So pay attention to that. If that happens, I do not see, I see our military standing down or somehow keeping from doing the thing. Okay. Now, when it comes to Canada, it's basically the same thing. I feel like there are officers that will call Canadian officers on comms, which means communications that are encrypted, and they will say, we're not gonna do this, okay? Like, for real. Like, I'm so and so. I met you at this training on so and so. How you doing? Yeah, cool. Yeah, we got a crazy president. Yeah, we really do. Here's the thing. Like, I'm gonna be right on the border. I'm gonna be having this weapon, but I'm just here to tell you that I'm not gonna do it. Are we cool? Yeah, we're cool. Okay. And then they'll do some kind of man thing where they diss each other's teams. You know what I mean? Like, when it's all said and done, humans are not monsters. He's a monster. There are some monster humans, but by and large, we're not monsters. If we were, right? Think about it. If we were, when you went to the grocery store, somebody would just smack you in the head, right? Somebody would just ram your car and drive off every single minute of every single day. They want us to believe that we're monsters. We're not. If you think about all the interactions you have throughout a day, and people are basically human to each other, the only people who aren't human are corporations that deny us health care, that deny us, things that we need. They're the monsters. So you have these military people that are going to basically stand down. But that energy is very fraught right now. But I would just tell you that the things that I see stopping him in the end is the military. Second, and that could go all the way up to generals saying, I don't know how this would work, you guys, because again, Schumer thinks that we've got a constitution. Schumer thinks that we're working within some kind of, he's the only one. He's the only one working within the Constitution as far as the actual executive branch or the executive or the three, the Congress and the judiciary and the presidency. There's some energy around generals getting involved in this replacement of 45. I don't know how it works. I'm just telling you there's energy around it. Perhaps he's impeached and he refuses to leave, and generals or some sort of military have to go and remove him. That could be the case. If he gets impeached, he's not going to leave. We know that. Schumer might not know that. The rest of us know that. He's not going to follow the law, and unless we make him, he's not going to do it. Now, the second way that we win the war is through rich people. Now, I wish this wasn't true. And I have to say that I had a pretty strong lesson about this last year, because I made the human assumption that stock market was up, and that's good for business, that's good for corporations, right? And they wouldn't let somebody like 45 get in office again, because when he was in office the first time, he just would say a company's name and their stock would tank. And I thought, that's so arbitrary. You know, we all know who runs the world: money. Let's just call that what it is right now, period, point blank. They do. For now. That's going to change, but for now they do. So they're an important part of this process. If they like what he's doing, then they're going to keep him in the spot. If they don't like what he's doing, they're going to get rid of him. Now, why would they not like what he's doing? Because, as I said, my lesson was, I thought that they would be thrilled. But guess what? During Biden, workers' rights were expanding, unions were expanding, and the stock market was expanding. But that was helping us. That wasn't helping them. The only thing they did was buy back a lot of their stocks and put it under lock and key, because they didn't want all of us being shareholders. Because believe me, another thing that I see happening is shareholder revolts, shareholder, protest, because shareholders have power and they don't want that. So that's when I really had this hard reality hit me, that corporations actually like high unemployment because it benefits them. Guess what? Workers now, they're not talking about getting a union. They're talking about, I'll take any job I can get at any amount of money I can get, and I'll work harder to keep my job. So really, corporations like that sort of Republican scarcity. They like that high unemployment. They like that. They don't even mind having high inflation. They like all that. They don't mind a low stock market, because for them, it's on sale. Like, oh, guess what? Everything's on sale. It's Black Friday. We're going to go buy everything. When the stock market crashes, that's when the people with the cash come out like Warren Buffett and buy, because it's on sale. So they don't mind that. It hurts us, not them. Housing crash, they don't mind that either, because now they're going to start a new corporation that buys houses. And when nobody can afford to buy a house, you have to rent it. You have to rent from one of their companies. So you see what I'm saying? Like, these policies benefit them. It doesn't hurt them. And the other thing the guide said, and I've said this on other videos, is they would rather have, I hate to say this, but this is what the guys are saying, and they've said it for a long time. They'd rather have, and I've said it to you, they'd rather have a dictator, because you just go work with the dictator. What do you want? Who's bidding? I'm going to outbid this person or this country. I got the deal. Great. But in America, sure, you can bribe people. You can buy off Supreme Court judges and every other thing. But it's so complicated, right? Because then you've got Congress, and then you got these congressmen, and then you've got these senators, and then you've got the Supreme Court, and then you got the president who can veto things. And then, you've got the states, and you got the state Congress, and it's just so complicated, hard to get anything done, because once I get things all fixed up in Congress, I didn't pay off that Supreme Court judge, and now they're going to throw my thing out. Oh, if you have a dictator, you have one person to work with. Listen, these corporations are really used to this. They work in third world countries where they have to bribe people, and it's so much easier. You just make the king rich, or whatever it is, whoever that leader is, you make them rich, give them whatever they want, and they give you all the country's resources in return, because no one is thinking about the people. No one. No one cares about the people. I just need to pay this one person. Do you see the difference? Do you see why they liked this idea of 45 coming in and being this sort of autocrat, is what the guides are calling them? I don't know what the definition is for. I know there's a different definition between an authoritarian government, a dictator, an autocrat, a patriarch. I know, but I'm just telling you what they're telling me. Okay. So now, but here's the problem. Here's our saving grace. Here's our, not a ray of sunshine, but the whole freaking sun, is that these corporations, these CEOs, a lot of them billionaires, they live in the United States of America. And that gets you carte blanche. When you go to France, you go to Switzerland, you've got a villa, you've got a yacht, you go to the Bahamas, you go wherever. You're somebody, and you got a lot of money, and you could do whatever you want. But now you're not going to France. You're not going to Europe. You're not going anywhere because nobody likes you. And you know what? Your wife, yeah, the trophy wife, the one that wants to go to the fashion, the runway. No, she's not going to be doing that either, because when she walks out, she's going to get egged. Oh, you're persona non grata all of a sudden, are you? You went from nobody knowing who you are except for the upper crust to all of us making it our business to know who you are and to make your life unpleasant. Now, imagine that same billionaire. He's got himself some kids. His kids are finally going to the most amazing colleges, wherever they are, universities, except for now they're also treated like crap by all the students. So now you see the cultural impact of their decisions. Because you know what? When you buy a king in the continent of Africa, your kids aren't going to Africa to go to college. So it doesn't really matter if the people hate you. But you are now hated by all the countries that you care about. And you know what's interesting is the spirit guides told me about the Russian oligarchs, because this is how they started explaining it to me. They said, remember when the Russian oligarchs, they had the villas, they had the yachts, their kids were going to Ivy League schools, their wives could shop wherever they wanted. And then Russia invaded Ukraine. And all of a sudden, their stuff was repoed. Like they were behind on the payments. They couldn't touch their bank accounts. They couldn't get to their yacht. They couldn't get to their villa. Their kids couldn't go to the colleges, the universities. And then this weird thing started happening where they started falling out of windows. So weird, right? Like, got everything to live for, but just fell out that window, or slipped down a slippery staircase that, why would I use that staircase? It's basically ornamental. There's an elevator. Oh, bad things started happening to them. So these American oligarchs are starting to put together the pieces like, oh, we're now persona non grata. We're now the villain, and not in a good way. You know, that whole, I'm entering my villain era. No, this is not good. This is like, this egg cost me $25 and I'm throwing it at your head. And I don't care. I'm wasting eggs on you. That's a wake up call. So these billionaires are starting to wake up that, wait a minute, the United States is getting ready to be a hellhole. Truly, it's getting ready to be a third world country that we don't want to live in. And we can't go live anywhere else because they won't allow us. I mean, truly, I mean, truly, the countries would not allow them. It, the umbrage, the word I'm getting is umbrage. I just saw France, and France is like, we don't want your money. We don't want your money. Your money is dirty. Get out. Oh, is that going to be a wake up call? You better believe it. So then add to that. Now, we're not done with the billionaire class yet. They got some more lessons coming. Another lesson. And it's also the cure should not kill the patient because it's going to kind of affect all of us. But you want to know what? We know how to live. We're survivors. We've been through economic disasters. We've been through the pandemic. We've been through terrible things where, natural disasters, where we didn't have electricity, where, I personally, during a natural disaster, a hurricane, 3 days without any food, I'm out there with everybody else raiding the donations, the box with the donation, the canned foods. We're all in there helping each other. We know how to survive. It's going to hurt, but we know how to survive. These people don't know how to survive without a butler. They don't know how to survive without getting in a helicopter and flying away from the problem. There's nowhere to fly to. They have nowhere to go. They have to stay here and endure their own mess. Now, here's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about economic downturn, and I'm talking about stagflation. I don't really know anything about stagflation, except for the spirit guides are telling me about stagflation. And basically, I just think that it means, and I could be wrong, but I feel like it means the prices are low and people don't want to buy it. You could give me eggs for 99 cents. I don't want them. You can't fix that. And the spirit guides talked about this last year. They talked about how people they described people being a school of fish. And the school of fish just goes over there. They disappear. They're not where they normally are. When you go fishing for them, they're not there. They're gone. Well, when corporations go fishing for our dollars, we're not there. We don't want it. We literally don't want it. And the thing they said last year was, it was almost like, it's not like we're doing this to punish them. We're doing it because we don't want it. Like, we're not hungry. I don't have an appetite. It kind of makes me nauseous to think about buying your product. I kind of feel nauseous. All of a sudden you don't want to buy anything. Now, I'm telling you, the 4 years that Biden was in office, we couldn't buy enough. That's why inflation was so high. We were buying. We bought. We didn't care the price. And I know a lot of my viewers are like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. You're not the only people in the world. I know that my viewers are a certain subset, like we talked about, demographics, right? Like if you're in DC, you think about things a certain way. My viewers think about things a certain way. You cannot deny the fact that our economy was the hottest, fastest growing economy in the world. Regardless of how it was treating you, the whole world, we had the best economy in the whole world, despite the fact that the prices were high. It was literally like a miracle, like the 27th wonder of the world or something. Well, we're going to go from that to, we're going to give you this at 70% off, and you're still not going to buy it. And again, I know people are saying boycott, 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 boycott. And I know that some of this is, we're thinking we're boycotting, we're actively making a choice we're boycotting, but it goes way deeper than that. I want you to pay attention. It's not a hardship. When you're boycotting something, it's a hardship. It's like, oh, I really want that, but I'm boycotting it. I really want it. I've been boycotting Chick-fil-A for 100 years over their stance against gays. I love Chick-fil-A. Will not step inside there. Did I have any impact on them? I don't know. But it was for me. And I wanted it, so it was a sacrifice. That's what I'm telling you is the difference here. It goes from, whoo, it's been really hard to give up Amazon to, I don't, I don't miss it. I don't miss it. I don't care. I don't know how I used it so much because I don't care. It's like a switch goes off in our brain. Truly, something literally changes in our DNA. So that's going to hurt the billionaire class because we are their clients. We are the ones that keep them in business. They're not going to be able to make us buy their products. We don't want them. That's going to literally, the only thing, the two things that I can see that would hurt them is one, being a pariah, persona non grata, losing status, losing status. Number two, losing money. Those are the only two things they care about, truly. And both of them are queued up to happen next. Now that's going to hurt us too, because, well, if we're not buying their products, they're not employing us. They're not going to, people are going to be out of work. Period. In the story. Inflation is going to be low, it's stagnant, but people are just going to be out of work. So maybe some people would like to buy some things, but they can't because they don't have the money. So in this way, the MAGAs get drugged down, the billionaires get drugged down, we get drugged down, unfortunately, because of us, the world gets drugged down with us. The whole dang thing gets depressed or suppressed. Okay? But that's the end. That is the end of the war because, and I've said this on other videos, I've seen this energy before. I see the billionaire, whoever it is, maybe it's Harlan Crow, I don't know who it is. Look, I know they have cultural ideology. I know that they want the Handmaid's Tale. I know they think white men are superior to every other thing. I know all that. I'm not saying they're going to change their spots. I'm saying they're going to say uncle. They're going to say, we still believe what we believe. We haven't learned anything. We haven't changed. But the wife is mad. The kids are mad. My money is disappearing. I have to live in my compound. I built the compound with the nuclear bunker, but I can't leave it. That ain't no kind of life. Last year, I was taking yacht trips. Last year, I was going skiing like Vance didn't do because Vermonters. I love Vermont. This is what I'm saying, you guys. This is not me making up stuff. This is actually happening in the real world. I'm telling you, the energy is so big behind it that it's not a flash in the pan. This is a tsunami. This is generating more energy. It's actually creating more energy. Every wave that hits them, the next wave is bigger. And they're going to go to the Democrats. Well, first of all, I skipped a step. They're going to make some private phone calls to the people they own. And again, this is sad and sickening, and we do have to fix it. We cannot let this stand. Okay. I'm not saying we need to let this stand, but it's likely how we're going to get out of this. And that is whoever the billionaire is, they get on their little phone, they call their Supreme Court justice that they own, they call the senators that they own, the reps that they own, the governors, whoever, and they say, this is what we're doing. We're going to get rid of him. We're going to get rid of all of them because the only way for me to get my money back and for me to have my life back is to put democracy back in play in the United States. And it turns out that for me to have what I want, I need to balance a little bit more with the actual people that live in the United States. I can't live in a dictatorship because I didn't think it through, and I didn't realize that I would be living in a compound with armed guards and never be able to travel. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought what was going to happen was we were going to, segregate all the races, and then I would live in a city that was like Handmaid's Tale, or like, like they're showing me Iran or something. And that's what I want. But I can't pull that off right now, and I'm going to lose, so I'm going to retreat. So I'm going to make a deal. So he calls. It's always a man. I'm sorry, men. I'm sorry. He calls his people and he says, get rid of them. And that's when you have the impeachment, the articles of impeachment for high crimes and misdemeanors, treason, 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 treason. The whole shooting match. The whole shooting match. I'm talking 45, Vance, Musk, all of them out. Okay, that's how we win the war. And then I see this very same, if we just want to put all of the billionaires behind one person, just give them one spokesperson, the guides are saying, that spokesperson calls up the Dems, I hope not Schumer, and says, let's make a deal. But probably calls up Schumer because I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of respect for Schumer. And he says, let's make a deal. What do I need to give you? And Schumer says, "Oh well, we would like our democracy back." Okay, done. What else do you want? Well, we would like maybe raising the minimum wage by 25 cents. Done. What else do you want? Right? Like that's, to me, that's what Schumer would ask for. Like stuff that's just so ridiculously ridiculous. Ask Bernie. Ask AOC. Ask Jasmine Crockett. Ask Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, what they want. Universal health care, Social Security completely funded and raised, disability raised, unemployment low, unions active, environment taken care of, our trans people protected. Oh, that's what we want. Schumer probably just wants 15-cent raise. I'm telling you guys, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not even sorry. I'm not making apologies anymore. I'm just not. I'm not. I'm not sorry. This is what I see energetically Schumer doing. And this is what Nancy Pelosi would do. She would never ride hard on the Republicans. The guides are calling her an apologist. Bernie is not an apologist. I'm not going to be an apologist. Our people need help. It's black and white right now. So that's how we win the war. That's how, is the billionaire class comes in. I do think that there's going to be an opportunity for the military to play a part. And then I think the billionaire class comes in. Last thing is the people. Where are the people? Well, you guys, we are standing up. We are waking up. A lot of MAGAs are waking up. You see them at these town hall meetings. If you want to feel better, just go to YouTube and Google Republican screaming at town hall meeting, and you'll watch video after video of Republicans being drug out of town hall meetings and 3 more standing up to scream at these Republican officials, leaders, reps, whoever they are. It makes my whole day. It's like what I watch to make myself feel better. So yeah, the people are standing up, but it's if we had to rely on the people to turn this around, it would be bloody. The guides are calling it Bloody Sunday. All I know is that's a U2 song. I'm sorry, I'm not a historian. They're calling it Bloody Sunday. Look it up. I don't know. Kent State. Look it up. They would put us down. It wouldn't, I'm not saying we wouldn't eventually win it, but it would be years. It would be years. It would destroy. The cure would kill the patient, or the cure would be so damaging to the patient. As it is, the cure is damn near going to kill us, right? So this is how I see it going down, right? Military, billionaire class, folding for now. For now, the monster, I always tell you guys, at the end of the movie, the monster runs into the woods and you're like, damn it. because you're going to have to watch sequel number 6 is going to be made because the monster's not dead, right? So the monster's not going to be dead. But what is going to happen is that the Democrats, this is so important, the Democrats are waking up and realizing that there's Democrats and then there's Democrats. Listen, last year before, I predicted the Republican Party breaking into, and then last year I predicted the Democratic Party breaking into. And I realize when I'm doing these videos, like right now, I'm channeling 60% spirit guides, and I say things in totally unemotionally, like totally. Like I told you guys, they're gonna come after Medicaid. I've told you guys they're gonna come after CHIP, HUD. I've told you guys they're going to come after military payments. They're going to, Mickey Mouse is a term I use for some reason when I mean that they're going to screw up stuff like, oh, we sent this troop over here. We meant to send them over here. How did they get over there? Oh, the troops' payments are late by a week. Oh, your Social Security payment got lost. Oh, you're not on Social Security. You've been getting a check for 10 years. We don't find you on the rolls. It's not like they're going to cancel these things. They're going to jack them up so bad that it's maddening. This is how they're doing it. It's gaslighting us. You were never on Social Security. I don't see you here on my computer. What do you say to that? Right? How do you combat that? So I don't see them canceling these programs. I see them damaging them so that everybody's frustrated. So how I see us learning this lesson is the Democrats saying, well, Schumer, smart guy. Maybe he's done a lot for New York. I think he's a New Yorker. And again, back to that thing, right? Like, well, maybe he's done a lot for New York, but he hadn't done much for the United States. Or if he did, and two things can be true, right? We have to be more discerning about things. Maybe he's done some amazing things, but maybe for the last 5 years or 10 years, he's been kind of soft. At some point, they're embedded in the machine themselves. Bernie has never been embedded in the machine. Never. AOC, that's why they won't let her in the machine. So guess what's happening? We're going to see these Democrats like Maxwell Frost. I've been talking about him a lot lately. For some reason, I've been talking about him almost every video. You're going to see these Democrats that are going to say, we're anti-establishment. The squad. Everybody made fun of the squad. Everybody said they're too crazy. They're too far to the left. And, AOC worked herself to the center a little bit because to get in to work with the machine, you've got to become the machine. But if you're not careful, you end up like a Nancy Pelosi. You end up like a Gavin Newsom. You end up like a Schumer. You become the machine. So I see these Democrats creating a separate power base that's much bigger than the squad. And perhaps at some point, and this is why I say things that are unemotional, because at some point I can see the Democratic Party breaking in two. But as I'm telling you this right now, when it actually happens, it's going to be an emotional thing. It's going to be a gut punch. It's going to be infighting. It's going to be disruptive. It's going to be splintering our energy and our base. But I think it has to happen. And I can tell you that with no emotion right now, but talk to me in 6 months. I'm going to be in a fetal position on the floor because the human part of me, this is tough. This is hard stuff. It's hard to hear it. It's hard to imagine it. But this is where we're going because we can no longer abide by people that are only going to talk. We need action. And one thing the guide said last year is that the midterms of 2026, they said, and again, I didn't understand this stuff at the time the way I understand it now. They said in 2026, if the Democrats in 2024 and 2025, from November 2024 through November 2026, if the Democrats don't make huge changes, like they were showing me, if the Democrats don't hit home runs, make three-pointers, if they don't literally do big things, they would be voted out in 26 by these younger voters who are so disenfranchised and so upset and angry. But maybe it's just voters in general. And what I'm saying to you is Schumer getting primaried. I'm saying maybe Gavin Newsom joins a part of the Democratic Party that Schumer's a part of, that's very conservative, that believes that we need to sit down with these terrorists, that we can work with them, right? And look, right now the guides just showed me Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter sat down with terrorists, and he negotiated in good faith with them, and Ronald Reagan basically went around him and negotiated something else. So yeah, I guess sometimes you do have to sit down with terrorists. But the difference is you never knew, you never questioned where Jimmy Carter, where his soul was, where his heart was. You never questioned it. You knew his heart and soul was with the people, was with humanity. And you want to know what? I don't think I would ever question where Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, AOC, Bernie, Maxwell Frost, whoever I'm leaving out, Jasmine Crockett, I would never question. I just wouldn't question. I have no reason to question at this time where they're coming from. But I'm questioning Schumer. I'm questioning Gavin Newsom. And if you didn't watch my last video, or if you did and I made you mad, I'm sorry, because guess what? Now Gavin Newsom is interviewing Steve Bannon. Now, if you wanted to understand what the other side was thinking, you might interview like Mitch McConnell, right? Or you might, who I might say did not vote, or Rand Paul, who didn't vote for this. You might interview people who are actually in Congress. You're trying to figure out like what are they thinking. You might be like, what are you thinking, legislator? What would But to interview a fascist and then Bannon, Charlie Kirk and Bannon, one right after another, kind of sends a message, doesn't it? Like, you could have interviewed Charlie Kirk, and then you could have interviewed Obama, and then you could have interviewed Rand Paul, and then you could have interviewed Steve Bannon. And then I would think, wow, that's a diverse group of people. Wow, that's really interesting that he's really reaching out to all these different people. But instead, he's 2 for 2 of really terrible, inhumane cretins. And I don't know what that's about. And I don't care, because I don't trust him anymore. So hopefully that was a lot. It's been an hour. I'm going to cut it off here. Hopefully that's made sense. Leave me your comments down below. You can learn more about my community at SusanLynnMedium.com. I'm actually doing an event with them tonight. I have guest speakers. I do 2 events a month with them. I do readings with them. I have a really unique thing that I do with them called Soul Growth Sunday. I have, as I said, these mini classes that guest speakers come on and teach. And I have a whole political side, and I have a regular side. It's more spiritual, but it's more like, hey, whatever's happening in your life. It really reminds me of Facebook, but it's not Facebook, but it looks like that with posts. You can actually post videos. So like if you watched one of my colleagues like Afefe with Touched by Tarot, or Civil Harmony, or Libby with Meister Tarot, or Linda G, whoever, and you were like, wow, this video was amazing and this is what I liked about it, you can post it in my community. You can post, I read this book, I loved it, what do you think? And you can post the book. You can post anything you want that is helpful, that is informative, that is supportive. There's no gatekeeping on that. And I will say 1,100 of you that have joined It's $12 a month, by the way. You can join for 1 month and cancel anytime. You don't have to join for a year. You can join for 1 month. Check it out. But I have to say, the people in this community are so smart, intelligent, and supportive. It's amazing, the people in my community. If you're in my community, drop a comment down below. Let us know that you're in the community and what you think about it, right? And the other thing I have is a class coming up on connecting to your soul. I'm doing a series of 3 classes with a Fefe with Touched by Tarot, and this is one of those series. You don't have to have taken the first one. It's all about connecting to your divinity, to who you are. Who am I? Why am I here? Why in the heck did I manifest this life? Why did I incarnate during this time? Because yeah, there's a lot of terrible things happening out there in the world, but we still have to live our life. Doctors still go to work and be doctors. Nurses still go to work and are nurses. Teachers, whatever it is your job, or even if you're retired, you still wake up every day. This is not a pass for us to just crumple into a ball. This is actually a wake-up call to take control of your own life, to not let these horrible monsters ruin your health, ruin your life, ruin your sanity. That's another reason why I like the community, is it gives us a place to go and say, my God, I can't sleep. And other people will chime in and say, I can't sleep either. And I found this meditation. It's a community, right? Do what you need to do for you to take care of you. Find your community, wherever that is. Don't go through this alone. Find like-minded people. Take classes, enrich yourself. That is something that you can get value out of. If you invest in you right now, you'll get the value out of that. The only money I'm spending right now is on me, investing in me. And I still do it. I take classes. I constantly challenge myself to learn, to grow. That's the name of the game. That's why your soul came here, was to interact with challenges, to feel uncomfortable so that you can grow. Oh, I used to really not like to do this, but now it's so easy for me. I can't believe it. You grew. Continue growing. You know, that's why we have this situation with the MAGAs. They're afraid to grow. They're afraid of people who aren't like them. That's why they're so ingrown. You know, that's why they're so restricted. These billionaires that want the Handmaid's Tale, so restricted because they're afraid of women. They're afraid of people who have a different religion, a different culture, a different race, a different sexual orientation. We don't want that. We're not that. We're not afraid to grow. We're not afraid to learn. We're not afraid to be challenged. Challenge yourself, reap the benefits, okay? Take really, really good care of yourself. I'll see you again really soon. For entertainment purposes only.